Burden.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Fraidy Geeks. We took a poll on Twitter and the winner was Hellraiser. So we are going to discuss Hellraiser 1 and 2 and some of our thoughts, opinions. You can tweet us any questions, comments at 3 Geeks Podcast or at Mike McG Music. So come show the love over on Twitter and yeah, we will reply and make you part of the conversation. You can also check out Mike at youtube.com/Mike McGTV. God, you remember when I used to mess that up every time? I've gotten much better at the plugs. Anyway, check us out on iTunes and Stitcher as well, just 3 Geeks Podcast. Dan, start us off, buddy.
Well, tonight is your lucky night, because not only are we doing Hellraiser 2, but we're doing Hellraiser 1, because 2 doesn't make any sense without the first one. So,
to be fair, the first one doesn't make any sense without the second one either.
well, it still does. I mean, you get a basic plot. You've got Frank, and Frank has been a naughty boy. And he goes to some exotic locale to find this box, which opens a door to hell. And he gets sucked inside and torn apart a lot. And it coincides that later on, his brother and his brother's wife, who Frank had an affair with before they were married, go back to his parents' house. And, as luck would have it, drop blood on the floor where he died. And so weird gelatinous, weird PC Frank starts coming out of the floor, which is the coolest effect in, I think, the whole thing. Then he gets his brother's wife, Julia, to help him kill people so he can suck out their essence and build himself a new body. I think that's about it. See, it's an easy plot.
Well, you forgot that while this is going on, his niece, who he's very fond of, his niece is unraveling this mystery too, and she realizes there's something going on with her stepmother to that effect, and that all of a sudden there are these creatures from another plane of existence called, well, they aren't called anything in the first movie, but we get to know them as the Cenobites, right?
Cenobites, but yeah.
Cenobites, and they're actually looking for Frank because he has escaped their dimension. You know, he's escaped their experiments and torture, and they're looking to reclaim their property. So, got to deal with that stuff too.
Jason, it's the first time you've seen this, right?
It is the first time I've seen this.
What did you think of it?
As a kid, I was a big fan. My Philip, who's on the 3 Geeks Podcast, also we used to go to a place. They had the 5 movies for 5 days for $5. We'd hit the Friday the 13th. We get the first 5, go home, marathon them, take them back. Get the second half, go home, take it back. The Chuckies, the Jasons, so on and so forth. For some reason, Hellraiser and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I stayed away from just because looking at the boxes as a child. I mean, I was like 8 or 9. These movies actually terrified me looking at the boxes. I don't know why Nightmare was any different. I think it's because I saw some of the comical ones first. But I steered clear because I thought this movie was going to horrify me. And, yeah, as a child, if I had watched this movie would have horrified me. In a lot of ways, it wasn't at all what I expected. I thought it was going to be a slasher film, which, in my opinion, it's not in any way, shape, or form. One of the things I don't understand is why are all these men following this woman home? She's not like the world's most attractive, woman ever. My wife asked me that. She's like, this woman is not that pretty. How's come all these guys follow her back to her house to die and all these horrible things? And I had to explain to her that sometimes lonely men will follow any woman home. It's just how life works.
To be said, yeah, a lot of those dudes are pretty seem a little, like you said, lonely. And who can't resist a good, 80s perm like that? I mean, come on.
I mean, not to say that she is in any way attractive, but, I mean, you saw the guys following her home. I mean, they're kind of like, you got short, bald Rat Man. I mean, they're not prizes themselves, so.
But yeah, this movie was not at all what I expected. I really liked it. Really, really liked it. I thought it was very, very good. Parts of it were actually horrifying, even as an adult watching it for the first time. I mean, I gotta call a spade a spade. Some of the special effects were dated, but it didn't take away from the movie. It was a very smart film, in my opinion. My wife didn't like it at all, but I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, the special effects in the first half of the film are really good. I think, like even the stop motion of like Frank raising out of the wood and like his brain forming and stuff. I mean, I guess if you put enough like yucky goo on it, it'll be gross enough. But I still think it looks really good. It's towards the end of the film where like ran out of budget. When the strange pterodactyl monster flies away.
That wasn't even followed up in the sequel though. That just happened.
Well, no, because the weird guy that ate all the bugs in the pet shop, I think is supposed to be the same guy who keeps selling the box in that weird bazaar.
Okay.
Not bazaars and weird, but bazaars and place you go to buy things.
Dude, Frank should have just settled for the Mogwai.
Yeah, see?
At least that thing sings. This puzzle ball doesn't do anything. You solve it and you get hurt. I liked the effects in it overall. I honestly think they've aged very well with this movie. Like the ending with the meat hooks and everything like sinking into them. That looks really gruesome still, even though I'm like, okay, yeah, well, that's clearly just really good makeup and blood effects, but I'm like, it still looks uncomfortable as hell.
Plus, he's got a really cool ending line there, too. As the meat hooks are, like, pulling him apart, he just goes, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Are we done with Hellraiser, or are we going to Hellraiser 2?
We forgot to talk about the come to daddy part. Jeez.
Oh God, yeah, it's one of my favorite lines in any movie. Honestly, is skinless Frank trying to get his niece to come closer so he can kill her or something. I'm not entirely sure on that point. But
so he can do something, yeah.
He's got no skin. He's wearing this white suit, and he's just like you remember me, Uncle Frank? Come to daddy.
I don't think he was trying to kill her. I think he was trying to seduce her.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah. You know, after seeing part 2, I guess that's a thing.
Incest, man.
No, because Julia had no skin, and the doctor still liked her.
I guess. All I'm thinking whenever I see someone skinless in these movies, whenever they put on clothes, I think two things. I think, oh, you're never going to get that out. And two is, man, that must really hurt. Like, it's got to be like, imagine sunburn 1,000 times worse than trying to put clothes on.
But they always have a job in a med school, though. I mean, just stand around and get poked at. It'd be fun. Also, I really like the musical score for these.
Yes, I did too. Who did the musical score? Do you know?
Apparently, it's just the studio's house band.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it works really well. Anybody got anything else for Hellraiser 1?
No, I like aspects of it that are just like classic '80s sleaziness as well, like the moving guys.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the actual. Like Frank's a creep and everything like that, and the Cenobites are terrifying. But then, like the most like flesh crawliest part for me was just listening to those movers talk about the lady, talk about moving all this stuff for the guy.
Yeah. Also, how they treat Kirsty when she goes in.
Yeah. They get their come up. They get their comeuppance at the end.
Yeah.
one of the things I did notice about the first Hellraiser, unlike the Friday the 13th and Child's Plays, where you can kind of zone off a little bit and you still know what's going on, if you miss like the first 20 minutes of this movie, you are lost. Because I watched it with a couple people, and they walked in. Liz was one of them, too, which is probably why she didn't like the movie. She walked in like 20 minutes into it and had no idea what was happening. And most, like, horror films, especially slashers, you don't get that. You know what's happening. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this isn't like anything by the numbers.
No.
No.
And that's really doesn't even really follow the I don't know, novella, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, it was a short novel that he did.
Yeah, but you can't blame that on director's interpretation because the same guy wrote the novel. It's all Clive Barker.
And the way that this movie is promoted and it's like you'd expect Pinhead to be more of a presence in the movie than what he actually is in this first. Like his screen time is very like small compared to what they do with him in later movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from what Barker said, they wanted like part 3 to follow Julia and not as like the Queen of Hell and not like Pinhead and the other Cenobites because they were dead.
Right.
But Pinhead got super popular, so they just put him in everything. Until the 8th part where God, I forget his name now. The guy that played Pinhead refused to.
Doug Bradley, is that his name?
Doug Bradley, yeah. He refused to come back.
Well, whatever. You get tired of a role, or you get too old for that shit. It's like he had so many sights to show us, and he showed us all of them.
Yeah. It's like I've filled 7 movies with my sights. I'm moving on now. Alrighty, Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, which seems to have a much more significant budget. Basically, most of the Cotton family are all dead, except for Kirsty. She's in a mental hospital. She wakes up, has this vision of yet another skinless person drawing on her wall. They say, "I'm in hell. I'm in hell. Help me." Something to that effect.
And she thinks it's her dad, right?
Yeah. She thinks it's her dad, so she starts freaking out. And she needs to get back to hell. That sounds like a great plan. Paralleling this is this insane doctor guy who's been studying up on all kinds of weird shit for quite a while.
He's got a bunch of the boxes, yeah.
Yeah, he's got 3 boxes because apparently, like, in the mythos, Le Marchand made, like, boxes to go to other places besides hell. It's just the box that everybody ends up with for some reason. But, so he drags the mattress that Julia died on to his house and then brings this poor dude who thinks bugs are crawling on him. Lays him on the mattress, gives him a straight razor, guy goes to town. Julia pops out of the mattress, skinless, they give the puzzle box to this mute girl whose thing is puzzles, who's also at the hospital, and she opens the doors to hell, and everybody goes inside and has a great time. I'm gonna
including the doctor who gets an extreme makeover.
Yeah. He also has a really cool line when it's done, though, because you see this giant pillar come out, he backs into it, and all these like cords and stuff are being drawn around his face.
Mm-hmm.
He gets this thing drilled in his head, but he comes out of the pillar and he goes, "And to think, I hesitated." This is a great line. I love that.
Yeah, you can definitely tell like production was scaled upwards, and they were very much more ambitious than they were in the first film. The fact that you spend a good majority of time in that world, and that a lot of the mythos is explored with, what was its name? Is it Leviathan?
Leviathan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everything like that, and the design work is really good too. Like the designs are just spectacular.
I mean, hell is basically just a big cement maze. That
Well, here's my question to you. Is it did they just flat out say it is hell, or is it just supposed to be like another like dimension of some sorts where, because that's the way I always kind of had explained to me, was that it's a dimension where basically they're scientists or researchers and they're just researching all the different sensory perceptions and experimentations on the human senses and how much stimulation a body can take.
when Kirsty goes there and she talks to Pinhead, he says that you can't get to him because he's in his own hell. But then she interacts with Frank, who was actually the guy she was going to see with the skinless dude who
Yeah.
put on the wall. So I guess it's Frank's hell?
I guess, yeah. That's the thing, is like they get a little bit into the backstory of Pinhead a little bit, but also of like Frank, and also this idea of like everyone's kind of stuck in their own little purgatory or hell or whatever. And I don't know. Did you feel like Frank was kind of tacked on in the sequel a little?
Well, I guess in the script that they started working off of, it was supposed to be Frank and Larry, his brother, sewed together.
Oh.
But Larry didn't want to come back to do the movie, whatever the actor's name was. So you're just kind of stuck with Frank. But yeah, he did seem kind of tacked on.
Yeah, especially given like the relationship that they developed in the first movie between him and Julia, and like Julia doesn't even seem like that concerned about him showing up, really.
Yeah.
Like she's thoroughly on her own agenda in the second movie.
And her skin even has its own agenda. So.
Dude, that'd be if it could be that believable to disguise yourself as someone else like that, I would do it all the time.
Yeah. Oh, great. Like everybody in your complex is like missing skin, and you're just like walking around. Hi, I'm gonna be Bob today.
Not just that, but just neat. How like neat the skin is.
Yeah.
Like,
even when Frank took Larry's skin in the first one, at the end, it had like rough edges and stuff, and it just looked really creepy. In this one, when Kirsty turned Julia's skin, it looks real clean.
it's like a onesie. It's
Yeah. I guess the only bloody part is in the back. I guess you got to get somebody to like zip it up, and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I didn't understand about the first movies. How did Christy not get at all suspicious when she saw her dad or Frank with her dad's skin? Because it did look obviously like something was going on. Like, sorry.
I always took it as like the scene was supposed to be darker, so she couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, you gotta come up with ways where the plot works.
What did you guys think of kind of the allegiance shift in the Cenobites in this movie? Well, I guess it really is an allegiance shift, but they're almost kind of heroes, almost in the second movie.
Yeah, I mean they do stand up because their like turf is threatened by the doctor guy and the giant penis. But oh come on, tell me it's not.
It is.
The whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
pulling out of him, yeah, it's a giant penis stuck to his head, guys.
I'm looking that up.
Be careful.
But yeah, two of the visually striking things, kind of get to me. One is at the very beginning with the clown juggling eyeballs. I find that highly amusing. The second one pertains to your question, which is when they're trying to take on the doctor guy, and he's zapping him back to human. Chatter, as a little kid, bugs me.
You take
That's
a moral.
totally depressing.
You take a moral stance against him being a little kid.
No. I don't take a moral stance. I think the movie is better for having that.
Right.
But it's just that's just sad.
Yeah.
Kid.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. Like I said, I did like that they kind of sort of almost bookended Pinhead's origin story into this with, the first, like, the shot of him during, what was it, World War II, everything like that. And at first you're kind of like, is that it? Who it? Oh, okay. And then later on you're like, oh, now I get it, why he's there, And then
In part 3, was it World War I or 2? Not that it really matters much, but because in 3 you got the whole reporter that goes back in time in a dream and talks to him, and it's all trench warfare. I just thought it was World War One, but I don't know. Whatever.
I'd have to ask. I'd have to ask, who's everyone's favorite Cenobite, aside from maybe Pinhead, like out of the other 3?
Oh, the dude missing his mouth was the creepiest.
Chatter.
Yeah.
Chatter.
Yeah. Chatter,
Yeah,
Butterball. I don't know what the chick's name is.
I don't think she had a name technically.
The heavier set one looks like somebody you could have a fun time with at the bar.
Yeah. That's Butterball.
Let's go drink it.
She was just called Female Cenobite.
Huh.
Yeah, I like Chatterer though. Chatterer is my favorite.
Yeah. Chatter also turns into a dog in part 4. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, Hellraiser in space, everyone. Jason.
Yeah.
What do you like about this one?
I liked how it built on the first movie quite a bit. And I actually, one of the things I did like is the acting of the Christie chick in the first one and this one. It was much better than like you would get out of a Heather Langenkamp, was that her name, from Nightmare on Elm Street, or the main victim from the first Friday the 13th. I felt her acting was, I wouldn't say it was like Oscar winning, but for the horror genre, I thought it was pretty strong. Maybe up there with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I was kind of wondering too is with regards to how much time do you feel goes between the first one and the second one? How much time has passed?
A few days.
Yeah,
Is it just a few? Yeah, was it just a few days or something?
I would guess so, because, I mean, she's still in the hospital, but they let her boyfriend go.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the film, and you never see him again, so he's like, screw that house.
Whatever, we got to make time for new guy who doesn't even get through the first third.
That was kind of cool. I like that.
And I was just kind of wondering, because I'm like, if it's only been a few days, man, Julia sure climbed up the ladder quick in hell.
Yeah. Well, here's the real question. Where do they get the mattress from? Because the house burned down at the end of the first one.
Ah, continuity.
Remember? And the weird pterodactyl monster again.
Yep.
Who took the box? Okay.
Like I said, you're better off just getting a Mogwai from that dude instead of those boxes.
I've logicked myself into a corner, so yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Dan, I can't find the penis monster thing.
Oh! Speaking of monsters, I forgot. In Hellraiser 1, it made me kind of sad. Well, there you go. There's a nice, melty Frank.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Makes you want to eat dinner, doesn't it?
Fried chicken. Awesome.
That's what I was going to say.
Whatever.
Fried chicken.
I was going to say spare ribs, man. Just.
When this came out on DVD, I bought it day one, right? And I felt kind of sad because the part where the engineer comes down the hallway, they cleaned it up and it's in widescreen. And if you look hard enough, you can see the dolly and the guys pushing it. Which is probably why he didn't show up in part 2.
I will say that was the one creature in the first movie that legitimately terrified me upon rewatching it. Just to imagine that thing coming down a hallway at you, it's like the evilest ghost from Pac-Man ever.
but I just want to get the little balls.
Yeah, you're all out of power pellets. Fun little bit of trivia. I know. Well, we've been focusing on like Hellbound and Hellraiser, the first one, but I wanted. I don't know who I shared this with before. I think it was. I think it was you, Dan, before. But Jason, can you guess what famous now superhero actor was in Hellraiser Hellworld in 2005?
Chris Evans.
Nope.
Hugh Jackman.
You were on a better path with Chris Evans because it has it's almost the same color scheme.
Huh.
Give up?
Yeah.
Dan, any guesses or do you know?
You told me the other day and I completely forgot. So, so go ahead.
Mr. Henry Cavill, Superman. So if you wonder why he's all about death and destruction in his movies, it's because he's seen some shit.
Yeah, he's seen one of the worst Hellraiser movies ever. He was in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish this series this week.
After 3, I'd say, I don't know. I got through 3, but then as soon as I started 4, I'm like, no.
You mean the one where he becomes like a computer virus isn't any good?
No, that's Hellworld.
Yeah, that's like 7 or 6.
There were two that were released in 2005. It was that one and another one before it called Hellraiser Deader.
Yeah. Those are all bad. Like the first 2 direct-to-video ones were all right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's at least 3 more, and they were bad.
Dan, you were right. World War I.
Okay, yay! Useless trivia.
Yeah, World War I. But yeah, I'd say. I mean, here's the thing. I'd recommend these movies to anyone who likes Clive Barker stuff. Like, I love just his sensibilities with the macabre and with demented subject matter. Like, I've been talking about Hellraiser for many months now on this podcast. I've been talking about Nightbreed for many months now on this podcast, another one of his that is underappreciated, I feel. But like, yeah, a lot of cool stuff comes out of this with regards to spectacle and just all the little details.
Man, and Lord of Illusions doesn't even get a mention.
Ah.
Oh, come on now. That's my favorite one, actually. I really like that one.
It's all right. I'm Nightbreed forever. Between Nightbreed and Hellbound and their affinity for psychopathic doctors.
Yeah.
But when you have one of them played by Cronenberg, yeah, it's like...
Yeah. What else we got with Hellraiser? I mean, I think they've held up really well with a few things, like the electric bolts at the end of the first one are kind of make it look cheesy now. The Julia suit.
Here's the thing. It's like we're able to appreciate them for what they are too. Would this generation really be all for it? Probably not, because it's not a jump scary movie.
Yeah, but do they really want jump scary movies, or is that just what we feed them?
That's just what we feed them, but I mean, it's the easiest form of entertainment for younger viewers and things like that, whereas this actually builds up atmosphere and suspense, so that when something shocking does happen, it's fully warranted.
I don't know about fully warranted, but...
Or it's earned, at least.
No, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's got awesome one-liners. Again, the same score, which I said was awesome for the first one. Yeah.
It's all about that 80s hair, man.
Oh. What would you rate it then? Or if you had to give them both an aggregate score.
Oh, together?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say it's a nice 8.5 out of 10. Honestly. I mean, yeah, I enjoy it for the atmosphere and for the design work, but I have to admit there is a certain cheese factor with certain performances and outmoded appearances. But I mean, it still holds up. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm with Mike. 8.5 is what came to my head as I was watching it. It was fun, and I recommend it to anybody who's a fan of horror and maybe wants to watch something a little bit different. It's definitely worth your time. Check out the first two at least. I can't speak on the rest, but definitely watch 1 and 2. Watch them together because 2 adds a lot to 1 and vice versa. So definitely 1 and 2.
I mean, have they done like a cut that incorporates just both of them together, like the super cut of Hellraiser? Because they are essentially, it can essentially be the same story.
I know for a while the VHS they had them together, 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've got the double, Blu-ray collection with 1 and 2 in it, but.
Oh, you didn't shell out for the box set?
Yeah, I kind of wanted that one, but it was sold out when I was trying to get it. So.
The literal box, like. I would be afraid to open that. I wouldn't even want to start. Like, first off, it's an actual puzzle.
I had a bank when I was a kid that just, it was the Hellraiser box, which is like one half slit open or one.
I would be so nervous about opening that thing.
I would give them a 9.
Nice.
Because I like them, and that's my.
The insight of that critique. I give them a 9 because I really like them.
Well, I mean, I could go lower because I mean you can. I mean there are cheesy bits as you've said. Some of it doesn't hold up as well, but I think on the strength of the story and the the believability of the actors in it, I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. Honestly, the main reason I'm at the 8.5 is mainly for the Frank stuff in Hellbound, because I no matter how many times I see that movie, part of me is always like, he seems a little unnecessary here. So.
Yeah, but Julia needs to get her comeuppance on him. I mean, that's one of the reasons why she's there.
Yeah, I guess. But at that point, when they moved on and were kind of focusing on her as the antagonist, I had a feeling like, okay, well, she's beyond whatever ambition she had with Frank and has moved on to something way worse.
Well, she doesn't want to follow Frank anymore. Like she
right.
did the first one, she just wants to get him out of the way because he's really pissed her off and to go on her own thing.
Each his own. I mean, I still like it. It's just I didn't need another scene of Frank leering at his niece.
Alrighty, are we doing another poll?
Yeah, we will do another poll. We will, after the cast, we will all throw in our hats, so keep an eye for that on Twitter, and you can vote for what we discuss next. Like I said at the beginning, just check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, 3 Geeks Podcast. Rate, review, check out Mike at youtube.com/Mike McGTV. He is, have you guys finished your Daredevil commentary?
No, we got, I think, 4 episodes left, and Max and I need to schedule, and we're going to catch up on those. We'll probably get it done before Season 2 drops.
Awesome. Definitely check out Mick Chats and all the other fun stuff Mike has going on over at his channel. Dan's been a guest on a bunch of podcasts talking about exploitation movies, and Max and him do To the Chat Cave. I said it right this time, right? That was right? Mm-hmm. And thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter at 3 Geeks Podcast. Follow Mike on Twitter at Mike McGmusic. Have a great night.